Mokomana, Mokomana, Mokonicha. Na besubirinyo bose Mokomana na boko ni Mokonicha. Inimoni Nekomanato. Welcome to another episode of Dishome Kidawida and welcome to Dishome Kidawida. If it is your first time to be on this platform, karibu sana, feel at home. This is where we explore, learn, and speak this amazing and precious language of mine that we call Kidawida. My name is Masaka Mdawida Tiki. I am a linguist professionally, and above that, I am a huge lover of languages. And of course, Kidawida nicho cha imbiri. This is the language that gives me my identity, and this is the language that I treasure the most. Teaching you Kidawida is one of my greatest joy and pleasure. So welcome to this episode, welcome to this platform. Let's learn Kidawida and let's embrace Kidawida. If you are returning to this platform, maze, chapcha nandigi, chapcha kolkundo, na chapcha kokaya. So without much ado, let's go into our episode of the day. As you can see from the title, on this specific lesson, we are going to learn about nominalization in Kidawida. We talked about nominalization in a previous episode, and we said that nominalization refers to a process whereby we convert a word from one grammatical category to becoming a noun. And in the previous case, this is what we did. We converted verbs to nouns. I don't know if you remember the list of the words we used in that episode. If you do, well and good. If you don't, kindly go back to that episode and watch it again, because that one is related closely to this episode. So on this episode, we are also going to convert verbs to verbal nouns. So in the previous episode, we converted verbs to nouns. On this one, we are converting verbs to verbal nouns. This is a very simple concept. And this concept that we are learning today is also the same in Kiswahili. If you're changing a word from one grammatical category and making it a noun in Kiswahili, you simply add the prefix ku to the verb. And that is exactly what we are doing on this episode. So we are going to take our verbs and then we add the prefix ku. And that way, we have made our verbs become verbal nouns. So in my list today, I have 15 verbs. So I'm going to mention the verbs. I will also give the meanings of the verbs, and then we will add the prefix ku so that we can convert the verbs to verbal nouns. And that's it for the lesson. How simple is that? A very simple pattern, and we are going to use this pattern to learn some vocabulary today. We are just going to build our vocabulary by learning some meanings of verbs in Kidawida today. So without much ado, let's get into the list of the day. The first word in my list is also the first word in the other list when we talked about nominalization. So the verb here is bora. Bora means sing. So if you want to convert the verb bora to become a verbal noun in Kidawida, we have said you add the prefix ku. So you take ku, which is the prefix, you add bora. So it becomes kubora. So bora means sing. Kubora means to sing or singing. Verb number 2, deda. Deda means speak. How do you make that a verbal noun? You take the prefix ku and add the verb deda. So it becomes kudeda. Kudeda means to speak or speaking. Verb number 3, vina. Vina means dance. Take the prefix ku and your verb vina. Ku plus vina comes kuvina. Kuvina means to dance or dancing. The next verb in list is the verb sariga. Sariga means play. How do you convert this to become a verbal noun? You take your prefix ku and then you add the verb. So it becomes kusariga, kusariga, which means to play or playing. The next verb in list is seka. Seka means laugh. What do you do again? You take the prefix ku and add the verb. So it becomes kuseka, which means to laugh or laughing. Next, we have the verb shoma. Shoma means study. How do you make this a verbal noun? You take the prefix ku and add the verb. So it becomes kushoma, which means to study or studying. Verb number 7, lala. Lala means sleep. So lala becomes kulala, and that means to sleep or sleeping. The next verb in our list is lima. That is verb number 8. Lima. Lima means dig. So that becomes kulima, which means to dig or digging. Verb number 9, lila. Lila means cry. That becomes kulila, which means to cry or crying. The next verb in our list is andika. Verb number 10, andika. That becomes kuandika, which means to write or writing. Verb number 11, deka. Deka. Deka means cook. This becomes kudeka, and that means to cook or cooking. Verb number 12, orosha. Orosha means wash. So if you take ku and add to our verb, it becomes kuorosha. Kuorosha means to wash or washing. Number 13, fagia. Fagia. That means sweep. Again, take our prefix ku and add our verb, which is fagia. So it becomes kufagia. That means to sweep or sweeping. Rama. That is our second last verb in my list today. Rama. Rama means jump. So if you want to convert this verb to become a verbal noun, what do? You take the prefix ku and add our verb, which is rama. So it becomes kurama. From rama to kurama. That means to jump or jumping. Finally, in my list, I have the verb duduga. Please listen to my articulation. Duduga. Duduga. Not duduga. Not dudu. It is dudu. So duduga. Duduga means run. So how do you convert this verb to become a verbal noun? You take the prefix ku and add our verb duduga. So it becomes kududuga, which means to run or running. And it is that simple. So in today's episode, we have learned how you can convert verbs to become verbal nouns. And what do? You take the prefix ku and add it to the verb. And that way, you convert the verb to become a verbal noun. For the Taita speakers in the building, kindly come to the comment sections and add all the verbs that you can think about. And also, if you add the verbs, you also give us the meaning of the verb, as I have done. If I said the verb deka, I don't just say deka and then I say kudeka. I say deka and I've given the meaning, which is cook. And then kudeka means to cook or cooking. So bring as many verbs as you can think of, and let's continue to embrace Kidawida. Let's continue to learn Kidawida together, and let's continue to learn this precious and amazing language of ours. Remember, this is where we explore, learn, and speak Kidawida. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!